Wow. And we'll do some of the other things in that class on Sunday, just depending on who and what shows up and the like. But one of the things we were talking about last week was going back and just doing some of the Bagua circle walking. And that's a really powerful practice for health. Did you? Uh-huh. Yeah, I had a chance to work with a guy who comes off of a main line of Bagua, who was also a martial artist and acupuncturist and the like. I mean, the man had some talents. But he said, you know, when you start walking that circle and you've got all these centrifugal and centripetal forces pushing on your body, and, you know, it's a really good thing to do. In fact, we can even do that just as a part of the warm up this morning, just as an easy. In fact, let's do that. So this is Bagua circle walking. And usually you start facing in that direction. But your first step is simply to be walking around. And you're trying to make this circle to be about 8 steps. That gives you a certain distance then with your arm as you look back towards your fingers. And that keeps you moving in this tighter and tighter circle. Yeah. And then you can add in the other arm and try to bring that up over the head. And that sort of drops you down into your legs and waist a little more. And then simply turn and start with that single arm again. And look back towards the fingers. Bringing that left hand now up over the top. Still looking at those fingers. And again, it's the walk creates, and then when you come to that place, exactly. And you can imagine if using this in a fight, the guy goes, okay, let's get it on. You go, sure. And you start walking around him in circles and he's going, well, now, wait a minute, what are you doing? And then he goes, whoa, because he's not used to that spin. Yeah, you can do a lot of different hand movements with it. Yeah. Oh, one big group. Wow. So that made it a very big circle. Yeah. Sure, sure. But the notion on this one is because it's a tight circle, you really get all these forces pushing and pulling within your body. And that's what he was talking about, is that what does this do internally to the body? It really helps to open up the chi, opens up the flow. And it's like, wow. And then they did some other things where you would come across from here and you would change direction by going 1, 2, and you'd walk that. And same thing, 1, 2, and you changed your direction. Yeah, so it really brought in that, and that sense of as you're coming here, that push away gave you the chance then to circle back around again. Oh, good. Nice to see you. But he was a sweet old man. Passed away some years ago now, but he definitely pushed these notions of how to train. And he talked about the circles is especially good for health. And then he did these lines of just crossing on diagonals as your fighting techniques. And so he really brought home all the, and then the healthful aspects. And he taught massage and acupuncture and so many more things. Oh, good. We've done a little circle walking to get you guys time to show up. Yeah, I noticed too. See, we did the same thing. We walked in circles twice. There's a Bagua circle walk that we just did a little bit of. Yeah. It's time for the tea to be served. Thank you. That's, yeah, definitely. Well, let's take it back to what we did last week, where we just did some of this nice swinging of left. And we talked about breath. So swinging for 3 swings or 4 swings as you inhale. And then exhale 1 more swing. So 3 and 4 or 4 and 5. When you come forward, bring those shoulders forward a little bit. Feel that stretch into the back. And when you do that, it's like then you really feel a little bit more of this stretch going down through the low back and the hips. Not at all. Breathing is breathing. And if you lose your balance, it's a great thing to lose your balance. Yeah, don't worry about that. It's actually really good practice. I mean, so many people are so frightened about losing their balance. Well, if you practice losing your balance, ooh, then you go, oh yeah, right. It's no big deal. That's right. Why would I want to do that? That's correct. Got to get there to get out. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, this has its own stall in it. You know, it's like, whoa, right about there. But for as simple as this exercise is, it's got you breathing, it's got all this movement through the waist, through the hips, through the shoulders. And even in a sense, you're getting a nice, easy stretch out through the neck. So yeah, it's a really easy one. And then let's go into waving hands like clouds. And again, really work to bring that hip around. This is a great way to increase that flexibility through the hips. You're not putting the pressure on the knees. You're just simply turning through that hip. And then if you bring that hand in and under as a fist, you get a little bit more of that transu, that twisting, that spiraling movement. as the hand goes back up and the hand opens. And so you get to play a little more in the yin and yang. Here's that yang energy coming through. You can feel it through the upper part of the chest. You still are getting that nice stretch out through the scapula. But it gets a little bit of musculature working as well. And you're still thinking about softness and hardness. Softness yin, hardness yang, and balancing yin and yang through this very simple movement. And then it's always nice just to go back, bring it in. If we come up and around into cross hands, nice long stretch, sinking down, coccyx, chin. Let me pause here for a moment. Again, extending out through the elbows, feeling that connection into that upper back area. Lower, middle, and upper dantian. This middle dantian really relates very nice to the lower dantian. This is the small intestine, this is heart. This is the pairing of yin and yang between these two centers. And this small intestine meridian, this yang meridian, is up here in the back. So by energizing that meridian, you are softening the front. And then if we go into white crane, we can go one side and back. And this can be done in either way with the breath. For the Qigong of it, it's very nice to do this as exhale and inhale. We're trying to get this upper hand to round all the way around and think of it running all the way back through. So if this was a strike with the hand, you'd certainly want to use the side of the hand here more than you would just the flat or anything. This gives you that same feeling of twisting, chuanzi. You can feel it going up through the body from foot to hand. And as soon as I get into this part of it, I find myself using this then as the inhalation and the exhalation. That's much more of the Tai Chi of it. So this hand's away from the body. Both hands are about this distance away from the body. So don't get that elbow too tight, too close. This hand is simply pushing down a little bit. And this hand pushing upward. And from cross hands, we'll pause. We'll go into single whip. So that left foot's going to turn. We'll stay with our weight on that right side pretty much. The hand forms the claw, and the left hand is the tip of the whip. And let that back foot spin now. So the back foot comes in, toes come in, toe and heel. Heel and toe. Toe and heel. And again, this is to protect your knees. This is a good position, strong position for the leg. This is a very safe position for the hips and the knees. Breath in and breath out. And in some Tai Chi classes, this will be held in this final pose as a standing posture. So it gives you a moment to kind of go in, look at where your feet are, look at where your knees and your hips, coccyx, chin. There's my left hand. Look where my right hand is. It's way back over here. If the shoulder's uncomfortable, you can go into this halfway place, or you can start reaching back. But this back hand is there to support the power that gets created as I would step. So this would be very similar to fencing, this kind of hand position. Yeah, so that hand is there to support you, to help you with your balance, with the sense that you can move easily, comfortably. Nice. And then back to cross hands. Rise. Yeah. Always a little bend. Bruce Lee talked about it even in the legs, that it's like a good pair of jeans always has creases in the back of the knees, right? So you would never, yeah, you can see the creases in the jeans. You never are straightening out that leg. That leg is always bent also. And all the arms are soft also. So the whole body is soft, but it has the ability then to create from softness. And that's what we're looking at here. There's the hardness and the softness returning. And so we're using this as a way of change, to be all aware of those shifts, those changes. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You got to go into that. Yeah, this was one of the things that I saw with people who were practicing some of the martial arts that had a lot of power and a lot of punching and kicking. They got it into the practice of going right to there. Ha! I could have nailed you. And somehow this starts to translate into, should have hit him that time, shouldn't I? So, you know, that's what I like about this notion of extending and extending. It's always trying to help you to remember there's still room within that punch for more of that punch. And that's this part of the Chuang Tzu, that's the twisting movement that's Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali talked about this as the 1-inch punch. You know, Muhammad Ali was a great proponent of being able to stand there with his left hand out, holding a guy out because he was very big and tall, and then he would just go bam, and you'd see the guy go, where did that come from? It was just right in front of me. And so this is what we are trying to create with all of these subtle movements within your form. There's always these little movements at the end of each of those places. So let's go in and do some of that first part of the Tai Chi form this morning. Take that moment, empty out. Did you feel the belly drop? Did you feel the shoulders relax? How about under the ears? Under the ears. Whoa. So we'll raise up the toe on the left foot, slide over, raise up the toe on the right foot, and then draw that kidney chi up from each foot to the ears, to the brain, and all the way back down. Open the knees, tuck through the coccyx and chin. And as with hands float up again, turn the right foot, spin the heel, and step up. And grasping sparrow's tail left. If you can spin that back heel, that's better for your knee. And turn to grasping sparrow's tail right. Palm up and palm down. Up and over and around. And to press. Check the hips. Are they comfortable? Are the knees good? Under the elbow. And push. And here's that little sink. Here's that little push out through the hands, that last inch. As we go then to the back diagonal and to the front diagonal. And single whip, toe, and spin that back heel. Left hand in and under. Adjust. Right hand and foot. And raise up and down. Upper hand. So there's a little bit of feeling here in upper hand that we're opening, separating. So that as we move on from here, there's space to go in with that shoulder and elbow. So let's go back to the beginning. We'll run that through again. Opening, guiding that kidney chi now to pump up and to pump up. And using the hands to guide it up and to guide it back down through the upper legs, the knees, the whole foot. As we come up and turn, embrace the yang. Here's the diagonal over on this corner. Good. And sit back, high and low, low and high for yin yang hand. Now, grasping sparrow's tail right. Leaning too far forward, this should still drop the hands for a moment. Now raise the hands up. Coming back. Here again. Once more, drop the hands. See, this time not as much leaning forward, right? It was a little more of a vertical. You want this vertical especially. You can find that little lean, but it's a little lean. Then clearing. Nice breath in, fill the whole body with all that chi. And then here's the sink. And as you sink, here's the heel of the hand. And then going to the diagonal. And through to single grip. In and under. In and under. And upper hand, there's the spreading. So as we step in, there's the protection for the face, the hand, the elbow, the shoulder. Step back to the elbow. Step in with the hand as we go to white crane, cools its wings. Yeah, there's a really nice thing in there. In fact, let me just explain one thing. So we've gone in with the shoulder, we've come back with the elbow, but the foot could continue on, going across the front, going in behind. These are very nice ways to judge your distance. Where is this person over here? If I've got one person over here and you're back there, I can still come back to that space easily. And I think about in the practice of the form, that's my elbow. That'd be a great thing to use. But if you're too far away, just as this hand goes out here again, these are the wings of the crane. And this is one of the teachers in the lineage of teachers that I worked with, was a white crane master. And he took this simple little piece of crane and brought it into this Tai Chi form. So you got to see that you had this potential, you had this potential, and this is your final white crane. 1, 2. I come with that hand again. Going over the top, you've blocked me, and this hand continues right around. So there's block strike off of that one hand. And this is a very high level of martial arts. Most will go block and strike. But if you can go block strike, you've just shortened up the timing of this whole thing. And again, it's not, yeah, it just moves right in and moves over again and bang, yeah. So to incorporate this from white crane was to give you this opportunity to see how versatile your foot can be within the context of your Tai Chi form. So often you watch Tai Chi and it's like people are walking in concrete. And that foot is so flexible, so quick that you can make all these adjustments. So you can cross over going forward or back. And in fact, yeah, it is. In the world of the ninja in Japan, they would walk this way at night so that it was really difficult to see what direction were they going. If there's a tracker, they're kind of going. If you're really a good tracker, you can tell the weight was different. But I don't know, these guys were so good, they may have made it look like you could not even tell, were they going north or were they going south, just by the footprint. So there's a very nimble part of this, because these guys would travel miles and miles at night before going into a secretive battle. Yeah. So these feet should be as nimble. One of the other things that you have learned from John was praying mantis. Praying mantis is the hand. What's the foot? The foot is considered monkey form. monkey form is the foot. And it has that nimbleness, that quickness within the foot as you are going through the mantis hands. So there's power above and nimbleness and quickness below. Yeah, there's some beautiful things to be enjoyed in these practices. There were 3 men in the class in Taiwan, in this mantis long fist class. There were 3 guys, and they practiced together all the time. And I would hang out with them for a little while. And one day the guy said, "Do you know how old we are?" I go, "No." He goes, "Well, the 3 of us, our ages combined are almost 250 years." They were all in their 80s. They were all in their 80s. And I was like, okay, that's what I want to see when I'm in my 80s and 90s. I know. And you should be very happy with yourself because, I mean, you've played with some of these practices for years now, and you start to understand that, yeah. Yeah. And the reason to practice this is for your health. But there's such a joy that comes in doing it that suddenly there's other pieces and parts of it that you just wouldn't want to miss. All right, so let's go from the beginning again. We'll go all the way through section 1. Opening. Never be in a rush when you're doing your opening. You can change your tempo later, but this gives you such a nice opportunity to visualize, to imagine, to see what's going on internally in your body. So if we pick up the tempo here, we go grasping sparrow's tail left. And in some ways, going through this section a little quicker can make it easier to work within that context of remembering the form. You get going slow and you get so slow, it's like, oh yes, this is so nice inside here. But a little bit quicker, this kind of tempo gives you an opportunity to play with holding the sequence a little easier. As we go in and under into upper hand. Shoulder strike and withdraw. Elbow. Now the hand goes over and strikes behind. And there's our form. Oh, beautiful. And brush knee and strike. Step up and play the peepaw. And brush knee and strike right. And pivot. Brush knee and strike left. Pivot. And brush knee and strike right. And step up and play the peepaw. Now here in this peepaw, we're actually closing the hands. And as we close, then we keep that rotation happening into high pat on horse. You just kind of feel how things can continue with those steps moving. And parry and punch, like open, like closed. And peek back, fan through back, embracing moon and water, and cross hand. Let your eyes come up. Let them guide down through the coccyx. Let them guide back up through the third eye. And draw in Nice breath in and breath out. It's always a nice place to stop if you're not continuing on into section 2 right away. Take a moment and listen. This is the Chinese for ting, to listen. So many things you can hear inside your own body now. And then we'll take that walk back. So just as we were saying, in going into white crane, you're creating this space so you can get inside of that. In peepaw, you're doing this. You're closing that space. And so if there was an arm, I'll do it. This is my closing. And you don't have to be too powerful to dislocate an elbow. And that usually means the person goes, we're done. Both peepaws are the same. Both of them have the same inward clamping. So one is out and one is in. So this one's picking up the elbow and this one's picking up the wrist. So the outside hand, okay, I'll get on this side. The outside hand is taking near the elbow and the inside hand is coming near the wrist. And so that's why you have this separation between the two, so that that's what's getting created as you close. Right. So you've got the inside hand at the wrist, and this one on the elbow or below the elbow even, because there's where you're putting that pressure. These are subtle little things, but again, it makes your form very alive inside as you're doing it. You see these hands closing, and then if you move on into the next place, you see how you've created that flow to continue on in the big wheel of energy. Once. A lot of years. That's why I say you do not train for the self-defense part of this. You're training because this just feels so good. And it feels like, wow, you know, here I am almost 80 years old and I feel really good. That's why you train. But it just so happens that, you know, something happens and you go, bam, jeez. Or you're riding your bicycle and a tree limb almost took your eye out. Oh, I'm so glad. I actually did go off of a bicycle with my Aikido rolls. I rolled on this concrete, came up, had time to reach out and grab my bicycle and get it out of the street as the pickup truck went by. Oh. Now that's a reason to train. I would have lost my bike. I would have killed myself. I mean, that's a good reason to train. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. I had one student who came in and she had scuffed up her palm a little bit. And I said, ooh, did you take a fall? And she said, it could have been so much worse. And I go, what'd you do? She said, you know those berms for parking? Didn't see it. Yep, didn't see it. And I caught enough of myself that I was able just to scrape up the palm of my hand. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what she said. I was headed for the complete face plant. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, right. somehow even the untrained will figure out, help, going down. Yeah, and you get used to picking up a foot.
Yes, yes.
You know, this is so vital. The yang style originally that I learned, again, we talked a little bit about this, brush knee was simply this, step and strike. And if you went to the other side, it was a complete turn and through again. So that was the 3 brush knees. In the Chen style, in this movement that I teach, we've got these deflections, these blocks, and we've got the ability to then raise the leg to kick, or just to know that you can pick up a leg, you know? And that's really important, that I can pick up a leg anywhere, anytime along in my practice. And that can be useful so that you don't step on the dog's dish. I can step over here now, and I can get over to there. Yes and no. You are so used to it that you know exactly where you are. There's, in a sense, no preparation necessary. It's already up. I needed to get out of the way of something. That's why I said when we're doing that single leg stance, golden rooster, you start to practice with bringing the knee in towards the center. Because if you get used to doing this, a kick comes in and it kicks you in the leg. If you leave the leg open, you get kicked in the groin. So you get used to this movement and you get used to moving out of it. So all of these things are in preparation for the next move. Yeah, that's what I liked about that. My first teacher that taught the yang style, he was an artist. He was a calligrapher. He did horses. He did horses that jumped off the paper. And still, he said, this is a martial art. He was from Shandong, which is considered a hotbed for martial artists in northern China. And he said, yeah, but. So he used to like to demonstrate the movement in section 2 of snake strikes eyes. He'd like to demonstrate that because he'd grab me by the belt and the hair on my belly. Ow, ow, ow. He always managed to get hair on my belly and then put those fingers right up by my eyes. And I'm going, oh, ah. Right, so you've come out of that long fist, you come up, there's the hand pulling in, there's the foot kicking, and there's the strike at the eyes. Yeah, snake strikes eyes. They don't even talk about the foot, do they? Yeah, so, oh yeah, it's all up in here. But that little leg that sneaks in underneath, yeah. Yeah. And we talked about these distractions that get created by your foot. So if you're on one foot and that eye goes down, and what are you watching for? I'm watching to see if your eyes go down. You heard the sound and you look down. Field goal time. Boom. But that's how martial art should be taught. The joy of the martial art. And you're never going to use this. So lucky you'll never need to use this. But should that one thing come, this is why I say right from the beginning, single whip is maybe one of your most powerful, simplest movements that you can use. Those flashing fingers like that. And this hand is just here to kind of go, hey, listen, boom, the hands are up here already. Hey, I'm not looking for trouble, bam. You move 6 inches and they're going. So that's the thing, yeah, and that, so what I didn't show in here with you guys, the application of single whip is not over here, it's right there. Keep going straight forward. There was a story that I heard when I was in Taiwan that teachers always held back a few of these applications in case the student went bad. When was this? We're talking about the 1800s, the 1700s. If a student went bad, it was up to the teacher to bring them to justice, and so many teachers never showed that single whip was this way. And everybody goes, oh yes, isn't that a beautiful movement? As you turn away. So this movement had some potential to open up from above and to slide in from underneath and to take down from the side. So it was a very powerful movement. And if I was in the, and you don't actually grab. So if the fist is in here, what I'm doing really is this. Now, what are you going to do? You have your choice. So I can block that easily. And if you slide down, I'm sliding in. So if you don't like this movement, I'm coming up from another direction. I'm not grabbing and holding this, I'm trapping it. And you really can't get in off of my forearm. Well, you can go under there, but as soon as you do, you open up that space for me to single whip. Yeah, yeah, and who's gonna get the harder strike? You're gonna get this, I'm gonna go, nice, that was open, bam! So that's what I liked about a few of these teachers that I had, is that they always showed how one movement connected to the next, how one movement within itself had many possibilities to work with. And that's part of the fun when you're doing your form, not just to see, oh yeah, this is my shoulder strike. Well, wait a minute, what's all this down in here? Nobody ever talked about this in my classes. I was practicing one day and I got in here and my dog was there and I went, oh yeah, look at all the other things you can do. You can throw his ball, you can kick his ball. My dog knows the whole Tai Chi form from the ground up. He goes, oh, they're getting to single whip pretty quick. Here we go. All right, so let's go from all of one, and then we'll come back through part of two. If you make one beautiful, you don't need another thing, truly. You make one where you have all the energy, you have this sense of focused connection and power. 3 movements is all you need. Oh, I'll continue that story in a minute. Here we are, opening. And we'll take that tempo again a little quick. So say, the only thing about the quicker tempo is that it keeps your form a little more cohesive. You get to feel those nice sense of momentum and movement and connection as you go from one posture to the next. A single silk thread being pulled from a cocoon, neither slowing down nor speeding up. As that thread is pulled constant, smoothly. You can pull a mile of silk thread. If you speed up, slow down, that thread breaks. So we're just trying to get that thread to be constant and soft and smooth as we go into 3 brush knees. Pat on horse. And hammer hand. Step up. Parry and punch. Like open, like closed. Peek back. Fan through back. Embracing moon and water and cross hands. Nice breath, nice body as we press left and right. And step in and carry tiger to mountain. And grasping sparrow's tail with those 4 movements. Sink. Breathe and relax. Single whip from one corner all the way around to the next corner, to the 3rd corner, and opening on the 4th. Step through, and looking fist under elbow. As we come back with retreat and repulse the monkey 3 times. And let that front toe raise up as you sit back. And then to the diagonal, reach around and slide under. And step up, slanting and flying. And turn, stretching turn. And raise hands up. And here's the repeating with shoulder strike. Withdraw. Re-enter as white crane cools its wings. And brush knee and strike. Now, left and right diagonals, clearing and looking for the needle in ocean bottom. And coming up, cross hands, fan through back, over the top and around, hammer hand, palm up and down as we go to step up, soft parry and hooking punch. And that foot absorbs that punch as we go into grasping sparrow's tail right. Single whip from the main horizontal back to the diagonal. These are just practices to be able to step and find directions easily. And then we look back again as we bring the hand in and under, waving hands like clouds 3 times. Diagonal single whip. So we open the corner and we close the front corner. And as we come to the end of single whip here, pause. Check your posture. Check your angle. You want to be a little bit more into this corner now. We're really playing with those 8 directions much more clearly than some of the other forms that I've seen. And then we come back to center. When you're outdoors, it's very nice. You've got something in front of you, something behind you, and then you have your diagonals. There's a couple of trees, there's a bathroom in Grant Park. It's really nice things that you just know exactly where they are. You know the baseball diamond, you know the the baseball sign for the kids on the baseball field only. You know all these, and you just turn right into that direction. If there was a body there, that's the sense, is that you know how to get there easily. We've got a couple of movements in the form, like this one where we're going in the beginning of section 2. We finished the opening with grasping Spurious tail right. We go with single whip, this time from one corner, and practice coming all the way around to that corner. And that's a 3/4 turn. And so how often, most people, if you tell them, turn to face that direction, they'll either go that way, or they'll go, what, you want me to turn all the way over to here? Oh, okay, I got you. But to be able to make that turn so easily that you, in one step, can make that 3/4 of a circle. Yeah, and then you're on those diagonals for fighting tiger. There's that big turn again. But you've got time in that sense. Go back and finish this fight. You finish that lower one and the upper one. It's because I'm way out here that you have time, you know you have time to make that turn. If I'm in here, too late, right? But I'm only making that turn because I have the time to do it. Otherwise, where I'm standing there, you go, what? What are you doing over here? Don't go making tricks. But it's because you know I'm way out here and I'm trying to go, let's see, should I go in from here? Should I try to? And you got time so that you're actually viewing this whole space around you. And if you're in multiple attackers, you've got time to see all of that. But if this guy's right here and coming, you don't want to go and spin the circle. You want to just come right back around. Yeah, yeah. And again, when you're doing your form, you go, anybody? Nobody? Oh, come on, you come on in here. And so the whole form is very lively inside. That's the fun part of it. So if I'm going from here, the first one is with the toe going as far around as I can. So when I step to here, I'm already there. It's a 1-2 turn. So I finish this strike, I move that left foot around, and I step with the right. And then you're going into fighting tiger side again because you've seen that. And then what I like to explain is that as I was preparing for one of my tests in Aikido, my teacher said to one of my friends, take Dale over there and do some knife takeaways. Oh, this sounds like fun, okay. So my buddy says, you ready? And I'm like, but it just so happened that I was able to actually go, whoa. And he stops and laughs and goes, you know, I always think the first knife attack should look real. And I'm like, you do that again, my friend. But that's what this movement is. We finished that second strike here. This arm is coming back across the body just as that knife attack came in, and the possibility of opening up again from there. And that's what I said to him was, I was doing, oh, that hand so much wanted to come back. But I knew this was Gio, and I didn't want to hurt Gio. Jesus. Gio wanted to kill me with that wooden knife. A wooden knife. A wooden knife. But it hurt. It would hurt. I mean, you saw the surprise, right? It's like, what? Well, you can do it this way because you didn't have time to do the takeaway. But the takeaway is to come over the top of the wrist And now I've got the knife in his hand going around my circle. And then I go, oh, let's go this way. And his hand and knife are going that way. So yeah, there is a knife takeaway technique. But that's what I like to show people is that even in this position, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go on and do the second strike. But for some reason, there's something else happening, and you need to be aware of some of the other possibilities. And that simply was to roll back, and then that takes us into the next kick. What I was going to say earlier was, 3 techniques in terms of self-defense is all you need. And single whip, I think, is definitely one of those. In Japan, they had sumo tournaments. How many? I think there were 4 every year. And it was well known at that time that the highest ranking guy was called Yokozuna. The highest ranking guy really only had 3 good techniques. One was a hip throw. Everybody knew that he had a hip throw. He would still win of the 14 days of the tournament. He would still win 8, 9, 10 of his matches with a hip throw. Everybody knew he had it. Everybody was expecting it. And then sometimes he would change it up. And so he knew how to go from here to here and throw the guy out of the circle. And the guy was like, yeah, I stopped. No, I didn't. And he's out of the circle. And with 3 techniques, basically, this man rose through the ranks to the highest ranking of sumo. The same thing in terms of any self-defense. You only need a few techniques that you really know, you really understand, you're really comfortable with, and you can use those interchangeably. One of the stories on the Yang family was one of the sons, there were 2 sons of Yang Luchen. These 2 sons, one wanted to learn everything that dad had to teach, and the other one didn't until the last years of dad's life. But he learned grasping sparrow's tail very well. And he knew how to do it on the left side. He knew how to go from one to the next without going into only the sequence. He knew those 4 moves: inside, outside, backside, around side. He was called, I believe, the undefeatable or the unconquerable. Because there's always somebody who's going, so you're your dad's kid, huh? What do you got? And he used those 4 moves. He knew those 4 moves so well. Automatic, yeah. And that's really the level of training that you would like to get to. And hopefully never even have to experience. Oh, that really did work. It'd be a surprise, and it should be a surprise almost, because you weren't looking for trouble, and trouble somehow found me. After a while, you get so good, you avoid trouble. There's one day I was walking down the streets in Pacific Garden Mall, and I came out of the coffee shop, and I'm walking, and I go, I just want to be on the sunny side of the street. It was a pretty hot day, but I want to be on the sunny side of the street. And I'm walking, and now I look down the street, and I see people from here starting to cross over, and people from there starting to cross over, and people keep crossing over, and finally it becomes obvious, there's a guy walking down the street. But I came out of the stop, and I just went, this is where I want to be, it's over here. And that's sort of what your intuition starts to tell you after years of practice is, isn't it a beautiful day? And if you can avoid all of those situations, all the better. But you could be, and John used to teach that model mugging class, that self-defense class. And they would always have women go into their cart with their key, because that's where you focus all your attention in that moment. And that's a really dangerous place. Unless you've come up to your car and you've got your keys already in your hand and you're not fumbling in your bag going, I know I had my keys here somewhere. You know, you've got your keys and you're looking around and you go, open my car, get in and drive away. That kind of awareness is what you want from shoulder strike, withdraw. You're seeing all that is there, all that is around you, and you're not blinding yourself with, oh, geez, I didn't get to the bank yet. I got to go to the bank. You're paying attention to your surroundings. And it's unfortunate to say, we need to pay much greater attention to our surroundings. Absolutely. There's been many discussions about a lot of people over in Santa Clara these days are using micro doses of certain mushrooms and the like. And you get behind your car and you're driving and you go, whoa, that was a move that's on mushrooms. Yep, I knew that. As he cuts in, you're like, yeah, that was a good move, wasn't it? Yeah, not quite. So you need to have that kind of awareness now, unfortunately. So let's take the beginning of 2 again, because there's that first movement that takes you on that, well, that first part of section 2 to that single whip. So this one is just to press and to block, and keep that pretty much on line with you. What's out here is not important. A kick goes by, thank you. Didn't need to worry about it. It's right here in my knee that I'm worried. And if I come back, I want to protect this knee. And the other hand then just drops back. So I go press and press. Now notice where this hand drops back. It's not dropping back to here. It's right here at the waist, and it's easily to move forward with that small movement of the punch. And so one of my teachers used to teach a drill that went press, press, and punch, and go right on your center line with that. And then you go back to press, press, and see where this hand is? It's a nice, easy, open hand. It closes and it goes out and it strikes right on my center line. Open and close. Press, press, and punch. So we do these nice and soft. Press, press, and punch. So that elbow ends bent. Yeah. And it just slipped right through here. It's on the train track going straight forward, and it's not one of these. Look at how much time is lost. Just that much time can be the difference between, so it stays open. It stays open or closed. You have your choice. But it's really nice to practice with this hand open, because it gives you the sense of relax, be soft. And then the 1-inch punch we talked about, boom, it's right there. Boom. And then you take it with press, press, and now I'm going to punch to the diagonal, which means I have to use my hip and my leg and my foot more. I go back, press, we'll do these soft, press to the diagonal, punch. Press, press, diagonal, punch. So get that back foot to spin. Now, do you feel where that punch and that foot connect up? That back foot has to move. That's the key. Back to press, press, and punch. See how those two are moving together to bring that final place. We talked about this stance when we were doing standing postures. This was fighting tiger at side. This long leg out the back, this bent leg in the front. This was And so it's very similar to fighting tiger at side. We're going with that leg and elbow and hand on that diagonal. Okay. And nice back through. And you start to see there's places along the way in your form where when you're practicing, you get to go, bang, ah, it's nice. I like that feeling. I like that energy. Especially as we're finishing the form, we're going through all of 1, 2, and 3. There's a place in there that's called lotus kick. And you've gone from this retreat to ride tiger into lotus kick. And the lotus kick was, wham, bam, wake up. You've been doing your Tai Chi form. You've kind of lulled yourself into a really nice place. The lotus kick, the lotus blossom was used as a signal or a sign of enlightenment. Enlightenment, sudden awakening. Whoa. And so you can use these movements throughout your form where you can use just a little more power. And come back in again. But this is to keep your practice lively, keep you focused and happy and joyful, and wondering, wow, where's all this? What is all this? Right, right. And that hand is setting up, this hand is setting up this hand. This is where all of your work has brought you to. As I say, this would be obvious that if there was a kick coming in and I blocked the kick that's coming at my knee, then it's very easy to step in and strike. So you start linking these movements, seeing what an extra step, what an extra little piece can create. And one of my most intellectual of all teachers was a man in Indonesia. And he said, you learn this form. Follow me to learn it. And at some point, it's your form. Enjoy it, practice it, create within your form. That's what keeps this energy, what keeps the mind part of Tai Chi really fresh and really functioning. Dementia doesn't seem to be a normal part of Tai Chi practitioners. We're so lucky that with this kind of exercise, with this awareness of the chi and the movement in the body and the increase of blood flow through all the organs and all the joints in the brain, we're going to stay very healthy. Now that's up to you to build on that. What are you going to eat today? What else do you want to do today? What time do you go to bed tonight? These are little choices that you get to make along the way, but because of your practice with Tai Chi, some of these choices gets to be so easy. It's like, it's 10 o'clock, I'm going to bed. I don't really want to stay up and watch another another episode of, oh. At least a half hour before bed, yeah. Turn all those sounds off, all those lights off, all those things off. Prepare yourself to sleep. Yeah. Well, thank you for this morning. Thank yourself for a good practice. And thank you for coming. And hope friends and families practice today. Now that I'm 1,007 years old. One of those old mornings.